Hi, welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. It does it with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker. She's the owner of Your Home Sold Realty. Barb, most people selling a home have some different ideas of their home's value. Some believe that they should price it at the very top of the price range. Others want a quick sale, and others have no idea at all. They ask their neighbors, they look online, they really don't know. So, how does a home seller price their home to negotiate what they want, which is the very best price?
Well, I tell you, Richard, I don't know too many home sellers that don't want the most money. Most of them want the most money. Some of them will say, well, I want a fair price. But at the end of the day, we got to help them reach their goals. And oftentimes, how much money they want may not necessarily match what the market is doing. And it really is the market that decides what your home is going to sell for. You can definitely you can definitely influence what the market will pay for your home based on the preparation, how you get the home ready for sale. Like I have a client, they're on the market right now, and they did everything right. They set up 2 storage sheds. They got rid of all the clutter. They freshened up the paint. It just looks amazing. And I think it's going to go pretty quickly, just because they got the preparation part right. And I think they got the pricing right too. But it's very natural for home sellers to price a home based on how much they're going to net in their pocket. And I get that concept. However, the market is the market. It doesn't matter how pretty your house is or how well it's marketed. If it's overpriced, especially in this market, chances are it's going to sit there. And the problem is most of these agents out there really don't study what's going on in the market with a level of detail, at least not what I do. And they're not paying attention to what's going on, but they'll look back at historic sales and go, oh, well, because that one sold for this much, your home must sell for this much. And then the house goes on the market and it sits there month after month after month, and they can't understand what's going on, or they'll say, oh, it's the market. Well, yes, it's the market, but it was that they didn't really take a hard look at the market on a regular basis to see where the trends are going, to really help home sellers figure that out. And then when it comes to negotiating the best price, when you do catch a worm and get a buyer that's willing to make an offer, best case is you don't want to let them get away, because there's probably a number that everybody could be happy with. But you just have to work it in a very positive manner. And for sure, you cannot rely on those online guesstimates of home values like what Zillow does. Because first of all, Zillow is not the MLS. They're a tech company trying to take over the real estate business and do everything online. That's their mission. And Zillow will use what they call their algorithm, which is some sort of computer program that guesses what a home is worth based on similar home sales around the area. Some of them aren't even sales. Some of them are just houses next door that they stick a price on based on the square footage. But the problem is half the time the square footage is wrong. Half the time they don't know if you have views. Half the time they don't know if there's something special. Has your home been updated in such a way that would make it command more money? Or does it have fabulous views that would make it command more money? Both of those things can work if it's done right. So they don't get to really peek inside and know what's going on. But a lot of people think that is the gold standard for value, which is absolutely not true. The other thing, too, is it's a little bit difficult, especially right now, to rely on what your neighbor's home sold for. Now, a lot of people ask me about appraisal. It's probably one of the most common questions I get about appraisal and home value. And an appraisal is an opinion of value using similar home sales around your home that have historically already sold. It doesn't take into factor, as far as the current value of that home, what the market's doing right now. It doesn't project where the market's going, whether it's going up or going down or going flat or whatever. It just looks at historic sales, which things are changing all the time and every home is different. Now, an appraiser will make adjustments based on condition and views and things like that. But again, it's a historic viewpoint. I had one appraiser tell one of my home sellers his house is worth $1.2 million. Guess what that home sold for? It was just over $875,000. So they were off by almost $300,000. But the seller was absolutely convinced because a licensed appraiser said my home is worth that much, then that's what it must be worth. And it just doesn't work that way. There's a lot of factors. So a market value is basically an opinion. It's what a buyer is willing to pay. And you have to look at a lot of different things. So you look at what your competition is. You look at your condition. You look at what's available. There's a whole bunch of things that go into making a really good educating guess of what the home is worth. And then when you do get an offer, then the buyers are going to want things. And that's where things go a little sideways because there's a lot of misconceptions, in my opinion, out there right now about what the market is doing. Yeah, the market is kind of soft right now. I'm actually having one of my better months of the year, and things are selling, but the people that price it right are moving really, really quickly. And sometimes there's competition, even now, with a slightly corrected or basically kind of flat market. So the number one negotiating mistake that I see is that some of these agents make mistakes on managing expectations. So they'll tell their buyers, oh, go ahead and make that lowball offer and ask for everything there too. Don't worry, it's a buyer's market, without even asking whether or not there's competition on that home. The last two offers I have received on my listings, there was no call from the agent, no text from the agent. They showed the home, did not give feedback, and just shoved an offer at me via email. So I didn't know it was coming. And they had already sat down with their buyer and decided on how much they were going to make an offer, not knowing what the situation was, whether or not there were other offers on the table. And in this case, there was. So it's really good to get more information. That is the way you can really be effective at communication, and at negotiations. But if you just, kind of fly blind and make some assumptions that, oh, it's not a hot market, don't worry, it's going to be fine. Go ahead and ask for the moon. You'll probably get it, or we'll get somewhere in between. Most of the time, sellers want the most money they can get, and most of the time, the buyers want the best house that they can get. But typically, what we see when buyers search for homes, they're looking for homes that fit their budget, first of all, and they will start at the low point of their budget. If they can't find what they want, they might go up in price. But many of them search in $50,000 increments, and some home sellers think it's okay to price high for negotiating room. But the fact is, all the data is out there for the buyers to see now. Unlike what it was decades ago when everything was not online, now everything's easily available for the buyers to go to Zillow and go, oh, look, they lowered their price last month, or Zillow thinks their home is worth X. Or you can go to realtor.com and see 3 different values of the home. So it's always best to price your home what I call realistically versus optimistically when you do decide on the price. Another negotiating mistake that people make a lot is, especially between agents, there's this tug of war that goes on between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. And some people are really all about kind of that win-lose scenario. Do you know what I'm talking about, Richard?
I do. Yeah. I mean, they look at it that way. I don't think that's the best way to look at it. Is it, Barb?
No. Well, it makes people really mad. I get stuff, and if I don't get all the stuff I want, I'm going to walk away. So it's both win-lose and the takeaway strategy, which doesn't go too well for some people. Some people actually get very indignant and go, forget it, go away then. That's fine. And some people actually get offended. So the negotiating mistake number 3 is being offended by an offer. Don't be offended. Don't get emotional. Try to, pretend that it's somebody else's house. You have an offer. Maybe it's not the offer that you want. Let's respond to them at least and give them something that you will take. be a little bit flexible on price. Yeah, they're going to make some ridiculous lowball offer, ask for a ridiculous concession. That's been the trend lately, Richard, is these offers come in asking for anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 of the seller to pay their loan closing costs so they can get a lower interest rate. How would you feel about that?
I would be so angry. I don't know that that's exactly bait and switch, but that is exactly why I want you representing me. I'm dead serious on that, Barb Schlinker.
Well, thank you. And it's okay to play this game and go back and forth. I get it that maybe they're cash challenged and they're trying to get stuff. But if you push too hard trying to get stuff, eventually what could happen is that people just, end up breaking up and walking away from the whole thing, which is a problem. You got a buyer that wants to buy and the seller that wants to sell. We just have to work towards what is that number, what is that negotiation point where we'll both reach an agreement. So negotiating mistake number 4 is failure to communicate at all. And I mentioned that about just shoving an offer without talking to the listing agent and knowing what the situation is. Information is very, very helpful. Other things that might be more helpful for a buyer making an offer is what's important to the seller. There are sellers right now that would like to stay in their home for a little bit longer after closing for whatever reason. Maybe they're waiting for a job commitment to end, or maybe they're, not going to move until this point, whatever. If you ask the question, if you communicate, okay, then maybe you could position your offer to actually reach the middle where everybody's happy. And if you don't ask the question, if you make assumptions, sometimes it just freaks everybody out. Like, oh my God, you want to close in like 2 weeks and you want me to be out right before Christmas or something like that. It just freaks them out. So you're better off asking the right questions so that you can come to an agreement, because that is the goal at the end of the day, to help the seller sell and help the buyer buy. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been here in real estate since the 90s, and I'm the host of this show. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about how you can avoid some negotiating mistakes. You can call me anytime at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, just call Barb at 719-301-3900, or of course visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing top home design trends for 2024 and what they mean for you. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.